Stopped here for a minute to eat an ice cream cone. This is the Colosseum in Arles at about 5:30 in the morning. Imagine if this was the beginning of the day 1500 years ago, on the day of the big gladiator fights. These are the lions that are the entrances, or were the entrances to this Once Upon a Time bridge. That's the railroad down at the end of that really pretty double arcaded road. In other words, there's a walkway on both sides. It's pretty. It's at the end of it. Including this statue, or statues and fountains. Having breakfast right now, or in a few moments, some tea and some croissant and so forth. When travel works easily, it's a real pleasure. I got up this morning, got on the train easily enough, got off the train here, got information I needed on my train ride from Paris to Charles de Gaulle. And then I started walking to the tourist office. They immediately booked me a room for €19, which is a great price. And now I'm having breakfast. And this is a pretty city because most of the streets are very wide. Not so much the traffic part, but the boulevard part where you can walk, and with beautiful trees. There's a nice mall in Nimes. I think it may be the only one, but it's 3 stories, pretty. Has the obligatory McDonald's. There are 5 McDonald's in this relatively small town. The American names are here, of course, in addition to McDonald's. Another example of the beauty I was talking about in this city of Nimes is this river channel that's been dammed here at this point. But it builds lakes all the way down to those fountains. We're en route to the Jardin de La Fontaine, which means obviously gardens of the fountains, or fountain garden, or something like that. And this beautifully tree-covered, shaded walkway. In the drawing, where I am is right where the NA is right now, and I'm looking to the left on the drawing. I'll be filming straight ahead to the fountains, and then I'll pan around to the right. So we'll be walking through this area that I'm videoing, kind of a big pie-shaped area. can just feel the coolness of the fountain. And then, if you recall the diagram, we look straight on down through a channel there, and apparently some bridges, and then to the right another channel off from here. This is reminiscent of the chateaux of the Loire. This is something those people might have thought of. Certainly evocative of those channels. It makes almost a complete oval, maybe rectangular moat, if you will. This is the ornate monument or entranceway. Looks like a crocodile. As I pan slowly to the right, you can see the continuation of the moat. We're in the park now. There, if you look at the drawing, you'll see on the long sides bridges, and those are to my right. You can see the fountain there through the trees. Nice grassy picnic area all through there. Entrance into the park down there. Lots and lots of seating. This to me is the epitome of parks in a relatively small or modest town. Looks like there are cafes over there. Of course the water ran right underneath those bridges. I'm up on the upper terrace, which is about 8 feet higher than the area down below, but here's what looks like it would be some other kind of a water type monument. I'll go over and get a closer look at it in a moment. Here's an unknown statue, unknown to me. Horse there at her waist, or his waist, can't tell. No, it's a him. Alright, I can tell. I wonder if these pots were either designed or once held some kind of greenery or flowers. Okay, this whole centerpiece, that monument there, perhaps of Venus, has around it a moat that runs underneath us here. As you can see how it's designed on the other side there. So pretty. These cups must have some symbolic meaning.
I'll know how much every costs. Yeah. Oh, did you see that picture? Yes, I remember the picture. Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, I think it's called Arle-Nimes.
We're grateful when they put anything in English, even when it's not. This is the, I believe, the Temple of Diana. That's how they protected the rocks, the surface of the arch with lead. I assume that's a recent protective innovation. This is a pretty little garden within the monument. Interesting, the cactus is there. It's the first time I've seen the cactuses in this area. I don't know if they're indigenous or not. But you could go over to the cafe there, get something to drink or an ice cream, come over here and sit and read for a bit. This is a classy preservation. Some of the interior carving work, protected by its location, of course. Some of the remaining wall decoration, apparently. Some more down here. Those openings there may have been structural openings to support a ceiling that came across to tie into these columns here. That wall behind the pond and the elaborate staircases going up, apparently on either end and in the center. Are dramatic right now. Be interesting to know, to be able to see them when they were new. Beautiful ponds, perhaps. There was a time when people were allowed to use them. It looks like those are steps there, allowing people to swim in the water, sit on the steps, bowl away the day. The water's clever. It comes up in an arch form. I don't know if they rise to the level of fountains ever, but an interesting concept. I bet you they do go to fountains if they want to. Very, very pretty place. I think those are the gardens of the fountains up there on top. Many quiet places here for people to sit and spend the day. Again, the coolness of these trees. People here had some kind of intelligent sense of beauty as well as comfort, ambience. The walkways keep radiating out and up. Again, you can go to one level here, or go down to the next spot and keep climbing. Up here should be La Tour Magne, or Magne. Almost to the top of the hill, and the Tour de La Fontaine, or however you pronounce it. This Roman tower was built around 15 BC. Gallic dry stone tower, which this is not. It was an original tower. The information on the wall is confusing. It seems to suggest the tower was built around 15 BC, but all traces have been vanished. But it says the original layout can still be discerned. It says the tower stood 36 meters high and consisted of 3 levels, 2 of which still survive today. So it was much higher than it is now, apparently. An L-shaped approach ramp allowed access to the foot of the monument. At this time of 15 BC, the Emperor Augustus enclosed Nimes inside that tower, inside that wall, and built defensive towers, of which this was one of 10. Nostradamus, in his projections, almost got this place destroyed when he alluded to gold and silver objects hidden beneath an ancient Vestal building, which those currently at that time felt was the Tour Magne. Those stairs make hotels. Second and third floors I've been in pale. You get an idea of the height of this tower. And it went higher. You can see the churches from here. Churches stand out because of their steeples. There, dead ahead, the arena. And another church. You can see this part of France is relatively flat. That was the old city we're now past and into the new city, if you will. Even what look like large apartment houses or commercial buildings. And you'll notice if you go back and look at this pan that I just did, the several long, large areas of streets that have beautiful walking ways and trees. We're partway down the stairway that circles this cement core that supports the structure. Gives you a little idea of the height of it. This large area from the ponds and fountain down below at that level all the way up to the tower are just one park area. They call it gardens. There are not a lot of flowers, but there are a lot of vegetation, a lot of comfortable places to sit in the shade. You can see there the top of Diana's monument, so we're still quite a height up. Here's another little park, pretty, not just a space that's allotted for something other than buildings. It's a space that's done nicely, fountains with water in them, sculpture, lots of seats to sit on, trees. And this is just about half a block down from the shopping mall that I was in, and about 3 or 4 blocks down from the Jardin de Fontaines. This is a bronze in this little square done in 1927 of a dancer famous at that time. Okay, this was very, very important to the Roman culture in this area. And as I BS here for a bit, you try and figure out what it was. One of the great hints is it was connected to Nord-Garde. Okay, what it is the distribution point within the town. It's a little bit higher elevation, you can see. for the water that was brought by the Roman aqueduct, which included Pont du Gard. That's the famous one with the 4 or 5 tiers that I'll see later this week. Those holes represent holes for the water to pass out of that main cistern, probably coming in from the aqueduct right in that square hole. And this was the distribution. So the first 2 holes perhaps went off to one place, and the second 2 holes went off to another place, and then the next 2 holes, blah, 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 blah. And the main chunk of this water apparently flowed down through here, probably as a distribution to someplace further on. But you can see how all of this was used for distribution of the water. Notice it's almost dark in here because of the shade trees. What a brilliant designer this was. This is St. Charles Church. A rather austere, plain look to it. Don't know what the inside looks like. Another little park with nice shade trees, and looks like it's used for presentations of various sorts.
Madame, le lundi c'est fermé, hein, le carré d'Arle. Ah non.
This looks like a museum, and there's an advertisement for a museum on the building, or a portion of the building to the right. I'll just dub over this later. It's a nice building in the old Roman style. This looks like the French word for painter, or something to do with paint. It's not open yet, but just looking through the door. Oh.